Let's look at this Wisconsin pit bull attack and see if we can understand dog culture. Okay, we are at the end of our video. And what we have going on here is 1, 2, 3, 4 police officers. Looks like an animal control officer. And they have the pit bull finally captured after the scene erupted.
Like this. Here, I could nudge it with my baton.
No, I'm gonna try to pull more this way.
Okay, so they're going through this whole frustrating hullabaloo to try to get this dog under control because they want to take it into this facility here. Fast forward a little bit, and here's what they had to do.
It's locked. In response, it received multiple doses of sedative before they could safely remove it from the kennel.
Okay, so they got this beast that all of these men, women, and equipped and trained people with some of the best type of equipment that's out there, they could not get this dog under control. And the reason I wanted to show you this part first is because this is very important to understand all of the citizens that are involved with these pit bulls, including the owners that we blame, the owners that are coerced to own these dogs, and then the owners that we blame for all the problems. They're not even equipped to take care of these dogs themselves, these little frail women that are given these pit bulls. And then look at the police officers and all the equipment they have. They still need to give the dog sedatives. Okay, we're back at the scene here where all this broke out. This is in front of a bar. You can see we got a bar. We got the pit bull dog over here. There's a little dog inside of that van that the pit bull wants to get at. I believe there's someone in the van. So they're trapped in there. It's like kidnapping and extortion. It's like you got to pay money or pay a bunch of time and loss of life and limb so you can get free. One of the things going on here is a little dog is a big part of this problem. Yes, I know pit bulls are completely nasty killers compared to most dogs, but oftentimes these dogs are constantly going on the attack because they want to get at that little dog in the van. I'll let you watch the video on your own, but this pit bull is jumping up. This pit bull thrusts his whole body up on top of this van to try to get at a little dog. So this whole thing about, dogs reduce stress and dogs know us better and all that stuff, no, that's not true at all. Oftentimes these crazy crimes are sparked by a little dog triggering a big dog. So the police officer, his puncture wound is down to the bone. And other bystanders are bitten too. So what if this was somebody with a knife or an ice pick running around stabbing people, yelling at people, jumping on top of cars? That person would have been shot, killed by police, tased by police, captured by police. Yet a dog does this to a police officer and they are very, very, very hesitant to use any type of force against that dog. And I know people in the comments are going to say, well, they can't deploy their sidearms because that's going to put people in danger. Well, what are you talking about? They're already in danger. Disabling that dog as soon as possible with a well-aimed bullet or a well-aimed taser is going to save people from having this happen to them. And many other bystanders were bit by this dog as well. These pit bull situations, they cause like a whole day of work for these people.
Focus on to get out for emergency through my bedroom window. I had the pepper spray on my fucking eyes. Shut the fuck up.
Okay, that was the owner talking in the background.
No, I got my dogs in the truck. I got my own responsibility.
So the Humane Society will not touch it.
So he has dogs in the truck. Always more dogs are part of these situations. But this is what I wanted to show you, what this guy says right here.
If it's in the truck. So we are responsible for taking it out and bringing it into the building. So that's my only next concern.
So they finally got this dog under control in the truck. And like I showed you at the end, now they have to get more officers putting their life at risk to go get the dog out of the truck. It's never over with these situations. Once this happens with the dog, then they got to go do this with the dog. Then they got to go get rabies tests and all of this stuff. It's just a mass amount of community resources all for a dangerous dog. And if this was a person, you would not let a person get away with this. You wouldn't let a person run up and down the street in front of a bar, stabbing people to the bone. That officer's wound was to the bone, he said. So let me show you like how the public sentiment towards the owner of the dog is.
I went down.
Good.
On the shoe.
That dog wasn't that bad until she started like hitting him.
Was she hit it?
The dog wasn't that bad until she was like starting to hit it. So these people on the street, they're just bashing the owner of the pit bull. Like, she could have just gave it more treats or something.
Yeah. Like the dog was barking at the door wanting to get to her, but she like
Outside the bar?
yes, outside the bar, and like shoved the door against the dog and like whacking him with him, kicking.
Okay, so outside the bar, well, right there, that's public. That's a public safety issue. Why don't you just take care of it?
Him, punching him. I'm like, you can't do that. You're gonna like rile him up. He's gonna get mad. He came up to me like, I walked up and I came back. He ran up to me, wagging his tail all nice. He didn't even bite me. He licked me.
Mm-hmm.
And
He didn't even bite you. There's a lot of people that the dog didn't happen to bite. That's totally irrelevant.
I was giving him treats.
Dude, I watched her poison this dog and it made me...
Whoa, you watched her poison the dog? So this guy over here, he's off camera at the moment. He claims that he watched a woman poison the dog. Well, it sounds like she was giving the dog sedative, which is what the police had to give the dog. And what is this, like street justice? No trial, no jury of your peers for the dog owner. Just a bunch of goofy people hanging around talking about all these different ways that the pit bull could have totally been absolutely fine if that woman would have just done, a dozen different things.
I feel sick to my stomach. I don't want to see this. You're not the first.
Oh, he felt sick to his stomach because supposedly the woman was poisoning the pit bull. You're not sick to your stomach that the police officer with a giant bite on his arm might get sepsis. No, you're worried about what the dog might have ate.
He's to be in trouble. This is wrong. This dog wouldn't be doing this.
The dog wouldn't be doing this. So you see what they're doing? They're trying to blame the owner. And the people on the street and the cops are playing right along with it. Even that police officer is saying, oh yeah, I've heard that story. I've heard that story from some other people too. Well, of course you heard that story. Anybody that logs onto the internet anywhere is going to hear all these stories about blame the owner, blame the owner. And I agree, the owner of that pit bull should definitely be charged. But the whole thing is, that won't happen. So many times these pit bull owners have a dog, it gets loose, it kills somebody, and there's no charges. I'll put some stories in the description about that if you think I'm incorrect, but it's true. So let's look at the Wisconsin State Legislature. So in Wisconsin, they have self-defense laws. And some of it says if you're in imminent danger or death, great bodily harm, but also if there's a third person. If there's a third person, read right here, part 3, if there's a third person and they're about to be killed by somebody else, you can step in and help them. It's a privilege of self-defense. So all of those people on that street, if just say that pit bull was somebody with a knife stabbing cops in the arm to the bone, there is arguably a law that allows you to defend yourself and others. So a good lawyer could look at that case with that pit bull and easily argue this for the case of somebody. And it's just crazy that we don't do that. These dogs kill people and maim people and cost billions and billions and billions in community resources, just like that story I just showed you. And yet, why don't we use the law to defend ourselves when it comes to these dogs? So in that video that we're looking at, the cops were yelling and hollering at that girl stuff like, why do you expect us to take care of it? It's your dog. It's your dog. But it doesn't really matter whose dog it is. The police have a right and a job to take care of animal control. Here we are at the La Crosse, Wisconsin website for the police, and read it. This is what your taxpayer money goes into, to having these services available for you. So for a person to call and need help with a dog, a loose dog, there's no reason why the cops should be sitting there trying to figure out who the blame is on the scene. Sure, that woman was dumb to have that damn pit bull, but she lives in a society that forces the ownership of these dogs. And so the police officers and the citizens that are sitting there blabbering their mouth about, oh, the owner, that doesn't really matter right now. What matters is taking care of the public safety. So if I lived in Wisconsin and was considering a job as a police officer, I would just look up some of the things I'm going to have to deal with. Are there robberies? Are there lots of street accidents? What kind of problem solving am I going to have to do? On the Wisconsin website for the police officer, it says they promote problem solving with their officers. Well, if you go look in Wisconsin, these pit bulls are ripping Wisconsin citizens to shreds. So those police that showed up and there's a pit bull there, there's no reason for them to sit there and bicker and argue and debate about whose dog it is or whatever. You live in a country, in a state, in a town, pretty much any town in America that has these type of news stories. Mom has arms ripped off, dies from pit bull attack. And also all the people saying that the cops can't use their stun guns or their firearms because they just might maybe, accidentally hit a bystander. Tell the bystanders to get out of the way and end that dog. And then you can save people from this and maybe prevent this type of crap